All right, Warren Ross here with another episode of the Libertarian Lawyer podcast. And it's been a while since I did one of these. It's been about a week, I think, because I really am just kind of fed up with the whole situation in this country. I think we've been on a downslope for a while, a long while, like many, many decades. But it seems like with this administration and in the last couple of years, we went down a slippery slope and then off a cliff. And now we have a huge cliff face between us and normality, because we have a president who is signing record numbers of executive orders and memoranda, even though he said that that would make him a dictator. And even though they control the House and the Senate, they have the ability to pass bills, it would seem. So why are they doing that? Well, I think they're doing it because they know no one is going to stop them. Like, what is the Supreme Court going to do? They're going to wait, 3 or 4 years, like something's not going to get to them until it's way too late for anything to be done. And even when things get to him, like Trump tried to end DACA, which was something Obama put in place, and admitted he didn't have the ability to do. The Supreme Court says, yeah, he didn't have the ability to do it, but you didn't bring us to this in the correct procedural manner, so we're not going to let it go on. So Trump was somehow unable to cancel DACA, which was improperly put in place. So apparently you can just make up anything you want if you're the president. And as long as somebody doesn't come in and try to have it overturned and go through all the little bullshit steps and procedures, then I guess you can do whatever you want. So it's really just, it's really frustrating to watch the news now. It's pretty disheartening to see all the bullshit going on, and everything is just getting worse, especially with this excuse me, coronavirus bullshit. We're coming up on the year anniversary of 15 days to slow the spread, and now we have this Dr. Fauci dude saying that it's possible that Americans will be wearing masks in 2022. Again, that's 10 months from now, to protect against COVID-19. Now, I had it on good authority that we have a vaccine that has been developed very rapidly, mass-produced, and I'm pretty sure we're doing over 1 million shots per day. We've been doing over 1 million shots per day since the Trump administration. So I think this week, the Biden administration, or somebody, I guess the Jen Psaki lady, I don't know, they all say different stuff. It's hilarious that the same things that they talk shit about Trump for are going on, but worse, in their administration, because obviously they're not going to be that transparent. They don't have to be, because the media covers for them, just like the Obama administration, who actually they tried to prosecute journalists. They arrested journalists, okay? Trump never arrested journalists. They never prosecuted anybody. He should have pardoned Julian Assange, mind you, but I mean, he didn't. But he wasn't out there chasing people down. The Obama administration was, which brings me to another point. I think the real beginning of the downfall of everything was when the Obama administration, through the IRS, was targeting political opponents, targeting 501c3s that said patriot or something along that had a conservative bent, and nobody went to jail. That Lois Lerner lady, she resigned, and that was it. Or maybe she didn't even resign. I think she got reassigned. She's still making $250,000 a year. Nobody ever gets fired. Nobody goes to jail. It's just hey, you break the law, as long as you're in the government, if you break the law, it's okay. We'll just sweep it under the rug. Um, as long as you play ball, you're okay. If you go against them, if you say, I don't think you should do this, or I don't think you have the power to do this, or you just say, hey, I like the Constitution of the United States and I would like it to be more relevant in today's society. Well, they're going to fucking prosecute you. So that was a complete aside, but that was bothering me a couple days ago because fuck the IRS and fuck taxes. Taxation is theft, in case anybody was wondering. Ron Swanson for president. Now, this Fauci dude, he says people are going to be wearing masks in 2022, even though the Biden administration has said that by August we'll have 300 million vaccine doses out. Okay, so like everybody who possibly needs it can get this medicine. So why is it that we would keep wearing masks into 2022? There's no good reason to do this. And obviously everybody should keep in mind that this dude changes his mind about every 5 minutes. He is the guy who told everybody not to wear a mask almost a year ago. And then he said, well, no, you should wear a mask. I was just saying that so that people wouldn't make a run on supplies. And then he said a few weeks ago that you should wear 2 masks. And then he said, well, there's not really any evidence that you should do that. And then he came back and said, now there is evidence, so you should do it. This dude, I don't know what his job is. Like, I mean, I know what his job is, but all he does is go on TV all day and talk. So, like, at what point is somebody going to question whether this guy is doing his job properly? I mean, I think he's like 78, right? 78 years old, okay? Probably not in the best mental state. Just for any 78-year-old, you're not at the top of your game. Things are wearing out. This dude makes like more than the vice president. He makes like 450 something thousand dollars a year, like some big, huge number, especially since apparently you can do this job until the end of time. That's what I love about these federal people. Like, all the normal people retire at like 65, 67, certainly 70. But somehow these federal employees, these government employees, these people who are supposed to be working for us, they can work until they die. And they can make massive amounts of money until they die. And somehow nobody says anything about this. This dude is super old. He's wrong about everything. And we know that he's lied about it. He's been wrong intentionally. So why would anybody believe him? Like, why, if this dude says we should be wearing masks, we'll probably be wearing masks in 2022. Why believe him? Why believe his motives? We don't know what his motives are. He might be lying to carry out some ulterior motive, which he has done before, less than a year ago, on this very same topic. Why does anybody believe this dude? And I think he's a moron. Like, I mean, he really does not seem all that bright. I don't know, like, what his credentials were, and I don't really care, because I'm pretty sure you could go to an Ivy League medical school and still be a moron in everyday life, because they just don't correlate. There are too many people who are highly educated who make very stupid decisions over and over and over because they lack critical thinking. They weren't taught that, because if you go to a school where you're taught one thing, like a medical school, this is what the facts are, this is what you need to learn. It's hard to break out of that system when you think this is what I know, and all of this out here is just noise. You're probably not going to listen to the noise. You're going to say, I know what the facts are, I'm going to go with that. And these people don't, they don't go to school with anybody who offers a differing opinion. Everybody talks about diversity. They don't care about diversity of thought. They care about diversity of skin color. But this Fauci dude, he just sucks. I mean, he really sucks. I don't know, like, where does he get information? He changes his mind all the time, and it's on things that should be common sense, right? Like when he said you shouldn't wear a mask, like that's pretty stupid. Like if you want to at least try to prevent an airborne illness, I'm pretty sure that it's been proven over and over that a mask works to dispel the spread when you sneeze or cough, right? Like that's why everybody in Asia wears a mask all the time because they have really bad flu seasons. But somehow this guy says you don't need a mask. Now, on its face, that is ridiculous. Maybe, maybe it could have turned out that somehow this virus was spread further by masks. I mean, I don't know. It's a novel coronavirus, right? But it seems to me that any doctor, especially a doctor who's, the top doctor in the country, apparently, you'd think he'd know that, masks can cut down on the spread of an airborne virus. And even if they didn't know that it was airborne, you can still wear masks. Why not? Like, what does that hurt? Does it hurt if you don't know? You could tell people to wear masks until you know, but nobody knew. And he was just making shit up. And he continues to make shit up. And now he says that we're going to have a significant degree of normality beyond the terrible burden that all of us have been through over the last year. Well, I don't think we really get to normality if everybody's wearing a fucking mask, because I feel like a goddamn bank robber when I go out wearing a mask. Like nobody knows who I am. I could just start taking stuff. I mean, who's going to stop you? Like, oh, it was the guy in the mask. Okay, well, shit. There's 300 million of those dudes, so we don't really know who that is. Anyway, so he says all this as the number of cases are dropping dramatically. Again, it doesn't seem like he's taking that into account. He's just on TV talking all day. I don't know who gives him information. Maybe he should go to a fucking lab and actually learn something. And I'm sure he's got people who could give him information since he's the top guy. Maybe he doesn't have to be in a lab actually learning things, but it seems like he should be, because the information he's getting from all these other people, if that's the case, is bullshit information. But we're just going to be fed this crap over and over and over because they don't really care about the virus. The virus is not the thing here. This dude is drunk on power and fame, right? Why else would he be on TV every fucking day? What's he doing? Like, if he was like a real doctor actually like trying to get shit done, I feel like he would actually be working most of the time, not showing up on CNN and every other channel every single day, because you're not actually getting anything done if you're just on TV talking. Now, obviously, some people would say, yeah, he's getting things done. He's communicating with the public. That's part of his job. Well, if you're communicating information that you know is incorrect, I don't think that's part of your job. If you're communicating information that you have no way to corroborate, I don't think that's part of your job. And if you're just making shit up and scaring people and saying we're going to have to wear masks until at least 2022, even though we have a goddamn vaccine, I'm pretty sure that's what the vaccine was for, right? So we don't all have to wear masks. So we can go out in public. So we can live some normal life. Like we can go back to the way things were. But no, even with a vaccine, we're still all going to have to wear masks. We're still all going to have to socially distance. All they want is power, okay? I don't care what anybody else says. All these people want is power. That's what they care about. They want to tell you who you are. They want to tell you what you should do. And they want to tell you how you should do it, because they think that they are smarter than you and that they can run your life better than you can. And maybe they can in some instances. But this is fucking America, so you don't get to do that. That's why it's hilarious to me that they're recalling the governor of California because this jackass got caught in a restaurant after he told everybody you can't eat in restaurants. And then he tried to say that he was outside. And as Joe Rogan says, there's a chandelier over you. You're not outside. If you're outside, there are stars over you. But of course, everything is just fucked up. And like, this dude's not going to go to jail. Is Andrew Cuomo going to go to jail? Like, I'm pretty sure that that qualifies as gross negligence, right? Like, he knew or should have known that sending people with COVID into nursing homes was going to end in the death of a lot of people in those nursing homes who were not infected before, right? That just makes sense, okay? Anybody with half a fucking brain knows that you probably shouldn't send somebody who's really sick with something that, you know, there's a good chance it kills them, right? You shouldn't send them into a nursing home to be cared for when you have somewhere else they can go. They had the Javits Center. They had that huge ship that Trump sent in. They didn't even use that. They just sent these people back to nursing homes, and a bunch of people died. And then they hid the numbers because they said that the feds were going to investigate them. Well, I sure as fuck hope they're going to investigate them now, since there's what 8,000 people who died who were unaccounted for because they tried to fudge the numbers. And like, this is what really drives me nuts. Like, it's so infuriating when you have a governor who won a goddamn Emmy for his broadcasts about the coronavirus. And he wrote a book about how good he did running shit during the coronavirus. And all of a sudden, the liberal media now understands that he was fucking up the whole time. When Fox News and all these other people were saying this shit the entire goddamn time. Janice Dean, the weather lady on Fox and Friends, she was talking about her in-laws. She's been talking about this shit for like months. And everybody ignored it. They told her to shut up. Nobody cared. And now, all of a sudden, after the election, after the Democrats have all the power, now they'll address it, right? But they're not even really addressing it. It's just some Democrats in New York who are going off on this dude because apparently he's just a prick and a bully, and he likes to pick on people. Not even all the Democrats are on board. I would think that everybody could get on board. Like, hey, this dude put in place a policy that directly led to the deaths of thousands of elderly people who did not have to die because there were other places that these sick people could have been sent to. And the dude is still the governor. He's not in jail. He's probably never going to go to jail. I mean, this is I'm probably going to get banned on YouTube or whatever, but like, who the fuck cares? This dude should be executed. Okay. He committed murder as far as I'm concerned. Of thousands of people. Like, he killed more people than 9/11 killed. They didn't have to die. Like, all those people, you could have sent them to the Javits Center. You could have sent them to the ship. Keep all the sick people with the sick people. Don't put the sick people with the people who don't have that illness, but don't have good immune systems. That seems like a fairly logical thing to do, right? But of course he didn't do it. And then he won a fucking Emmy. And, this is what drives me nuts. Like, this is like when Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize for being elected. Before he was even in office, they gave him the Nobel Peace Prize for being a black guy and getting elected. I would love to get a Nobel Peace Prize just for my skin color. Like, that would be awesome. Like, give me a Nobel Peace Prize for, I don't know, being the first white guy to do something, right? Oh, wait, they don't do that. Okay. obviously, this is never going to happen, especially when you see shit like what Coke is doing. Coca-Cola, the premier company of Atlanta. This is from Newsweek now. All right, Newsweek. This is not some right-wing organization. Coca-Cola, facing backlash, says Be Less White learning plan was about workplace inclusion. Okay. Uh, so again, on the face of it, just ridiculous. Coca-Cola has responded to allegations of anti-white rhetoric after an internal whistleblower leaked screenshots of diversity training that encourages staff to try to be less white. All right, if you don't understand how that's racist, you are a certified moron, okay? You are retarded. Something is wrong with your brain. Something is not screwed in properly. You're fucked, okay? Because if you tell someone to try to be less white, you're telling them to try not to be something that they have no control over. It's like telling somebody to try not to be gay, right? Like it's just part of who you are. You can't really control it, right? Like everybody says, it's like, you're born that way. It's always there. It's not a choice, right? Well, nobody chooses to be white. So how can you be less white? If I told someone to be less black, would that be considered racist? Yes, it would. Okay. Let's just, I mean, obviously these people don't care, or, and really they are just morons. They do not have the ability to think critically about their own beliefs and ideals. Um, Anytime you see a statement, all you have to do is do the opposite, okay? If it says try to be less white, does try to be less black sound bad? Okay, then try to be less white probably shouldn't be there, right? It's not that hard. If you can substitute, a subject or whatever the fuck part of the sentence that is, I don't know. I gave up on that in elementary school. But anyway, so this lady supports banning critical race theory, and obviously because it's the biggest bunch of bullshit in the world, and it's exactly what these white liberal leftist types do. They are under the impression, again, that they need to be in control. They're the only ones who can solve these problems. So without them, black people can't do anything. Like that's the whole premise. Is like that's why you have to be anti-racist. You can't. It's not just good enough to be not racist. You have to be working for this like equality or equity or whatever they want. Otherwise, you're not really on the team, because if the white people aren't working for it, they think that the black people will never get anywhere. And if you think that someone can't accomplish things because of their race, or if you think an entire race certainly can't accomplish things, then I believe that's called racism. But again, if you're a Democrat, it's perfectly okay to be racist. Nobody will call you on it unless the Democrats dislike you or you run against someone they do like, in which case they will burn you to the ground. The slides included tips to learners on how to be less white, less arrogant, less certain, less defensive, less ignorant, and more humble. I find it hilarious that all of these people use ignorant. I don't think they know what ignorant means. I really don't think they know what it means. If anybody calls you ignorant, they're probably really stupid. People do not understand what that word means. They never use it in the correct context. And the people who are always calling people ignorant are usually the more ignorant people, because if you question them about their beliefs, they break down. They cannot have rational discussions. They cannot debate. That's why they resort to calling you racist or sexist or homophobic or Islamophobic or whatever. And again, I don't think they know what a phobia is. A phobia is an irrational fear of something. So again, they've misappropriated all of these terms. They have no idea what they mean, but it's like their little dog whistle, right? Like they claim Trump had a dog whistle for white supremacists. Well, calling someone ignorant is a dog whistle for the black supremacists, right? And again, it's kind of weird because they're doing all this black power stuff, but the white people still feel that they need to be involved. It doesn't really make a lot of sense because you don't need to be involved if the black people have black power, right? They can do their own shit. Like, don't worry about them, worry about yourself. But again, these leftists, they feel like I guess they feel like white people caused the problem and they have to be the ones to solve it. Let's see, what else? In the US and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they're inherently superior because they are white. Really? Really? I haven't really seen that play out. I'm pretty sure I grew up in the US and Western society at large. I don't remember anybody ever telling me that I was inherently superior because I'm white. I'm pretty sure they would have been, called racist at that point, right? Like, never had a teacher once tell me that. It goes on. Research shows that by age 3 to 4, children understand that it is better to be white. Well, that sounds like a problem with black people educating their kids, right? Because it doesn't really matter what society at large is saying if you're teaching your kids the correct things at home, right? I understand, it's going to have an impact, obviously, but ultimately you're the person who has control over your kids' thoughts and what they learn because you can teach them at home. But this is part of the problem. There's no accountability. It's just white people are evil. We're never examining how we can actually fix things. And if you think that everything is on white people to fix, again, you're just a fucking moron. It's never just one-sided. There are always multiple facets to every issue. Obviously, there are things that could be fixed, right? We could go down a list and try to find things that need to be fixed. White people might need to fix some shit on their end, but black people need to fix some shit on their end too. I think the largest issue here is single motherhood. Like that's a huge issue, and nobody addresses it because that requires you to tell people to stop having kids when they're not married and stop just having sex with everybody that they find. And apparently nobody knows what birth control is, but this is a constant problem, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse, not only in the black community, but in the white community as well. But in the white community, it is not as prevalent. In the black community, it is. And so that's something that the black community has to fix on their own. White people aren't going to be able to go in and tell people what to do. That would be racist, right? You can't just go in and tell people what they have to do and how they have to live their lives. So ultimately, it's on black people, and they have to pitch in, help out with their own community. And I know some of them are trying, and churches do a lot there, but it's more of a breakdown in the larger society because everybody wants to be a rapper or some shit like that. How many rappers actually make it? Like, how many rappers actually get rich? Probably not that many, right? How many people actually make it in the NBA? Probably not that many, right? How many people make it in NFL? Not that many. And you're there for like 2 years, probably. So part of the problem is that there's this idea in the black community that I've heard over and over and over that education is not the way to get out of your situation. Everybody thinks it's like, being a rapper or NBA, NFL, something like that. That's not it, man. Because if you don't make it in the NFL, what are you going to do? If you don't make it in the NBA, what are you going to do? Nobody knows what they're going to do. They don't have any education to fall back on. My parents told us that like we had to have doctorates. So my brother is an eye surgeon, my sister is a PhD, and I went to law school. We were told that we had to do this. Okay, it wasn't like there was an option. Uh, we had the option of what school, right, and what what major, but other than that, we didn't really have the option because my parents placed a lot of emphasis on education. That's what people need. You need emphasis on education, not on being a fucking rapper, not on being, a drug dealer. Like, that's not a good way to get yourself out of your situation. Being, that's a good way to make a bunch of money real fast and then end up in jail or dead, and then you lose all of it. But I digress. A Coca-Cola spokesperson confirmed that the course is part of a learning plan to help build an inclusive workplace. I'm pretty sure you're not being inclusive if you tell someone to be less white. Okay. That's not inclusivity. That's telling people to not be who they are, to not be something that they have no control over. All right. This is all based on this Robin DiAngelo bullshit. And this has come up too. I've seen people posting shit like this on LinkedIn. I'm in a LinkedIn group where we, will like comment on each other's posts and stuff to try to get more views and like, build up your reputation among everybody in the community, right? But like people are posting this diversity, equity, and inclusion crap, and it's so hard for me to not just go off the rails. And the last one, like, I didn't say anything. I just didn't comment on it. But it's pretty fucking crazy that people are like actively espousing these socialist and communist ideals. Like everybody should end up at the same place. Okay, well, what if I do more work than somebody else? Should we all end up at the same place? What if I just have natural talent and I do something much better than someone else? Should we all end up at the same place? Their answer is yes. That's just fucking crazy. Like, I don't even know in what world you can imagine that that's a good way to do things. It's the same world where everybody gets a participation trophy, right? What does that teach you? That teaches you that you can just show up and not do shit and you'll be okay. That's why I didn't really learn how to study until law school, because I could just show up at school and not do shit and be okay. I like just A's across the board, not, zero effort. That was not a good thing. That was not good, because then I went to law school and I had to completely learn how to study. It was not, my first grades my first year were not that great. But it's not a good way to go about things. All right. If somebody thinks it is, please, for the love of fuck, give me their name so I can have some sort of debate with them, and we can watch the fuses pop in their brain. Is because they've never questioned these ideas, and they've never had someone question the ideas for them. They've just been told these things. They take it as gospel. It's like people, overly religious people, like people who like, just believe that the Bible is like, that's it. That's like God was actually speaking through these people and they were just writing it down. And that's everything. All the books are there. Nothing's missing. Nothing extra was added. Those people you can't have a rational conversation with. And I've tried a lot because my family is really religious, but you can't do it because it all comes back to you have to have faith, right? So these people, these leftists, these so-called liberals, these Democrats, it's the Democrats it's a large portion of the Democrats. It's probably not everybody. I'm sure it's not everybody, but they're letting these people run their party. These people are not capable of questioning any of these ideas because this is their religion. They can't question their religion. They are told by whoever the leader is that day what to think and feel. So obviously, if you come in and say, this is all bullshit, they're going to say, you're a heretic. Let's kill him. Like, let's get rid of him, right? Nobody's going to talk to you. Nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to, have like a rational debate with you. And even if they do have a rational debate, eventually you might end at a point where I did once, where you just have, beliefs that are so far apart that you probably should not live in the same country. And I think that's ultimately where we're going to go. Like, like I said, I think we went off a cliff. I don't think there's a way to come back from this. The real answer would be for us to, go back to the type of federalism that we were actually supposed to have, where the federal government has very few powers. They are very limited in what their powers are. The states have more powers, and you can choose what state to live in based on what rights they protect and what rights they don't protect. If you believe in abortion, go live in California. If you don't believe in abortion, go live in Alabama. That's how it's supposed to be, so that you have a large country, right, where, you have the ability to exert power if you need to on other countries. But within our country, you have many different states with many different rules, many different ideals. And if you feel a certain way, you can move to a state. If you feel another way, move to another state. That's what this was supposed to be. And again, these states were supposed to also be limited in what they could and could not do. But we just completely blew past that because the Supreme Court is a fucking kangaroo court. They read things into law that are obviously not there, that have never been there. They completely ignore the Constitution. Shall not be infringed is very clear. Okay, very, very clear. But again, they don't care. It's a kangaroo court. They're just going to make up something because Supreme Court justices are just politicians who didn't have the balls to run for office, honestly. Or like they probably did run for, they just ran for, they ran as a judge. Like, that's a political thing. Like, my cousin ran for Superior Court. She, it's like political. It's like Republican or Democrat. Like, you put a letter beside your name. So it's, these are people who are political. They have political ideals. They are somewhat politicians. They're not supposed to be. They're supposed to put all that aside, but it's so obvious that a lot of these people don't. And most of them are on the left, because the people on the left always go with the left. The people on the right might go one way or another. It's very rare for people on the left to go all the way over to the right, because they think that the government has so much power that they can basically do whatever the fuck they want. So they do whatever the fuck they want. But anyway, the Supreme Court is bullshit. Constitutional law was the strangest class I think I had in law school, because it was just amazing to me that, you could see what a decision should be. Like, does the federal government have the ability to do this? Yes or no? Well, if they do, great. If they don't, they shouldn't do it. But they always did. So it's just bullshit, man. So hey, let's watch the country end. Let's burn it all to the ground. That seems to be what people are doing anyway. So let's at least have a party, right? All right, I'm done.